welcome back to Factory Fresh, where we are on the 1962 F100 Unibody with the 2016 Mustang chassis swap. So luckily we finally got some paint on this thing. So we got some deep impact blue. Looks really good. Still have some cutting and buffing to do. What have we been working on? Holidays are coming up. I was burned out from painting and prepping for paint, which is a nightmare if you guys have ever done body work. So just been kind of chipping away at stuff, and my priorities here have been, hey, I need to get this interior prepped. You can see we kind of got stuff in. I'll go over that. I started cutting, or basically wet sanding, and then cutting and buffing the paint, because we need to do that. I stopped and realized, hey, we got to send this thing to upholstery, and I want to get the interior really close so they can get everything upholstered. So I paused on the cut and buff, but just to give you an idea, you know, this is, you know, kind of have some of the orange peel. It's not bad, but I purposely put 6 coats of clear on, which is a lot of clear. One of the reasons is painting in a garage, you kind of get some junk in it. So you can kind of see like little dust nibs and stuff. We will wet sand all of that stuff off to where it's laser smooth like this, and all the dust nibs get sanded off. You can kind of see around the edge here, you know, where it's not sanded down quite as far, and you'll have like little dust nib here, little dust nib here. But that's the reason I like to put 6 coats of clear, and we can just wet sand the whole thing laser smooth. So to give you an idea what that looks like, this has been cut down and buffed. First stage, there's a couple different levels of buffing we'll use with some 3M compound, but basically it was sanded down from this, which has some orange peel on it and dust nibs. It looked like this, and then we just did the first stage of buffing. So you can kind of see, or I can anyway, I don't know if you guys can, but it's really laser smooth and deep glossy, looks good. Interior is going to build panels and do stuff, obviously, with the roof or the hood. Not the hood or the roof, the frickin', what am I trying to say? The thing up, the headliner. The headliner up there. We did get weather stripping all put in, new weather stripping with the help of my wonderful wife. We are probably going to start mounting the headlights in the grill assembly, and I need to wire that stuff. So you can kind of see the wiring loom. This is all factory here. I want to retain that. I have a halo on these headlights, if you can see the halo ring. The reason a lot of you guys have commented on when I say, hey, this is 62, 63 Unibody. Ford only made Unibodies from 1961, 2, and 3. That's it. Well, if you notice, the grill is a 66. I completely understand that's a 66. I did that on purpose because I do like the Unibody grills, but I don't want a blinker in the grill. I don't like the blinkers in the grill. This Unibody upper portion doesn't have a blinker up here. Some of the, like, what is it, a 60, I don't even know, 65, 66, have a blinker up in this upper grill portion. I don't like the blinkers. I thought it looked a lot smoother if there's no blinker in the grill or the upper grill section. So I wanted to delete that. Well, I still need blinkers. How do I get the blinker? I want to use the halo for the blinker. So this is set up where the halo I can flash, and it's going to be a blinker. That was the whole purpose between using the 66, 65, 66 grill. So we do need to wire that all into the factory wiring. Blinkers, driving lights, headlights, high beam, low beam. We know we still retain the sensor right here. This is an automatic headlight sensor. So once the sun starts to go down and we need headlights, that sensor is going to pick that up and automatically turn on headlights. That's kind of the theme behind the whole truck here. Is this is legitimately a 2016 Mustang GT. I want ABS, line lock, launch control, traction control, automatic headlights. It has hill assist for the clutch. You know, it's a 6-speed MT82. The Coyote has about 19,000 miles on it. Independent front suspension, rear suspension. The geometry is all S550 Mustang. So it's a unique build in that way, and I wanted to keep those features and retain that stuff. So that's, you know, kind of where we're going, and it's so far turned out really well. We still need to build a bed. I'm gonna have it built where it louvers basically in the rear, so I can access my fuel pumps here and some electronics. Still need to build out this stuff, but again, right now my priority is get the interior ready for the interior shop, and then start to probably do some of the metal fab, build a back bed, things like that. So, but enough chit chat. We got to get some work done today. Let's get those seats in and wire those headlights and whatever else we get to. We took the little bracket off of the submarine harness, which we have to mount to our seat bracket down here, so we can run it through the supplied hole here in our Corbeau seats, and then it'll run down and we'll bracket it down into this bad boy. So let's just get a hole here centered up through here. Little hole punch so our drill doesn't run on us. All right, boys, well, we've got the harness mocked up. We've got this Corbeau one. I really like it. It's kind of black, matches. It's got the cam lock where basically on a 5-point harness, we'll have a submarine belt. We mounted that in here, just drill the hole, got to get a nut for that, and we'll secure that there so we can still move the slider front to back. We've got the lap belt, and then we have the shoulder harnesses. So shoulder harnesses, if I adjust this forward a little bit, it's buckled, I can't. But basically, let me show you. We just strapped it around the harness bar, which is what we built it for these harnesses, for structural rigidity as well, but it'll tie in our harness bars. So there's a specific way you got to wrap that around. We did that, and it's got to be tight because this bracket's going to be right next, the seat's right next to the bar, and this bracket is right on the bar. But we wrap that in just to make sure everything works. It's in the right location, which when my shoulders are up here, so the strap's going to be running down, either vertical or down about 10-15 degrees is how you want it. Our seat belt bars, lap belts right here are running down through, and then they're secured down into the floor pan bolts there, both sides. And what I really like about the Corbeau seats, or the Corbeau harnesses, is it's just a single cam lock here, and then everything comes out. Oh yeah, that's nice and secure. I'm gonna rip some corners on this. So, pedal position, steering, shifter, everything feels nice and tight. So, I like it. Oh, fourth time. Okay, I think this is a sign. So yeah, overall, she is good to go. Okay, so belts are good. So next on the agenda, we're in the passenger side here. Harnesses are gonna work. We have everything set up. We've drilled our holes for our submarine belt. We know the shoulder straps are gonna fit nice on the harness bar. And we know the seat belt, or the lap belt, is gonna weave in nice and attach to our seat mounting brackets in the tub of the car or truck. What we want to do, really the only thing left on the interior to kind of prep for the interior shop to upholster everything, is gonna be these bottom panels. You can kind of see this one, I put a nice little rolled edge. It just kind of finishes it. And this side over here, if you can see it, it does not have a rolled edge yet. All right, guys, well, we've got our panels here and my trusty assistant, Schneider. Okay, so we're just going to run a nice little bead right along the edge of this, and then the little filler panel as well, so we can put it back around the steering column. So we're not going to mess this up. Last time I didn't tighten it down. So we'll tighten this down just nice and easy for the first run, and then second run will go down a little more. So go that way. So go nice and easy. Got a nice little rolled edge here on the bottom on all these plates, so when we upholster them, it's gonna have a nice smooth finished edge. So let's get it back installed. Interior wise, short of getting handles and all the little things on for the upholstery shop, the window cranks, just so they have reference for that when they're building things, we'll slap that stuff on. But overall, I think we're pretty much finished up and ready for the interior shop to call us and get the truck in and get that completed. So let's get into the wiring the headlights. All right, guys, so we are going to go over some wiring. We're talking about the headlights. I get a lot of questions about schematics and how to wire in. We have the 2016 Mustang full wiring chassis, or full wiring harness in the factory chassis. It can kind of get really detailed and kind of confusing with modules, and modern cars have a lot of features that are really convenient. They're also pretty confusing if you're just trying to troubleshoot something without a wiring schematic. So basically, you can see here, I go to Mitchell 1 DIY. I'm going to log in. I have a subscription here to specific vehicles. And you can see here, I mean, even some older stuff, a 1987 G-Wagoneer. You can do, old, new, pretty much anything. A 2016 Ford Mustang GT. Get into the schematics. I click on wiring diagrams. I'm going to go down. You can get everything on this. So if you want to troubleshoot fuses, relays, what the plug connectors look like, literally down to what every single wire does, where it's located, what color it is, you can find that in here. Once you have those tools, anybody can troubleshoot and work through a factory wiring harness and integrate it into whatever you want, which in this case, talking about the headlights, we want to integrate some old school 7-inch halo style HID headlights that are tied into this factory wiring harness. So I click on OEM wiring schematic or diagrams, and you can see it breaks down everything: the audio system, automatic climate control, charging, cooling fans, cruise, all the different engine combinations. But once you have this stuff, you can kind of see here, so fog lamps. We're going to have, I'll show you, out in the garage, we've got the connections for this. I'm not doing fog lamps, but headlamps and auto lamps, all these sections you're going to break down. You can continue on and hit everything else too, where you're going to get turn signals and, I mean, literally everything. So what I'll do is I'll click on these and I'll print off this schematic, and it may look kind of confusing at first, but everything is labeled really nicely. Body control modules. There's a bunch of these under the kick wells. We actually had to find for, say, the doors and the hood and the trunk. When those things are open, you're going to get an indicator on your gauge cluster that says, hey, door ajar, or hood ajar, or trunk ajar. I would go into these modules and find out where those wires were, and basically whether they needed a 12-volt source, or a lot of times you're grounding them out, and it will say, hey, the doors are always closed, the trunk's always closed, the hood's always closed, because we're not using that stuff. And you can eliminate those sensors, and everything will work as intended. So, but in this case, you can kind of go in and body control modules. Here's your actual headlight switch. So you can see from the module, you have these colored wires running into the switch. Out of the switch, it's running into the headlamps, auto lamps. Here's your ground. So it's really pretty basic. If you just take the time and look through this stuff, you can find exactly what you're looking for, print this stuff off, and then get a little lead tester and you can just get ignition. It'll tell you, see hot all time. This is off of a battery. Sometimes it'll say, you know, ignition hot or start hot or whatever. You can supply the power from the car and the chassis how it's intended, and then check your wires and then basically plug them into whatever other old school accessories or lights or lamps or whatever you're trying to do. And you can utilize these modern harnesses that come from cars. They're really beneficial, especially when you're building a vehicle like we are, which is using all the modern 2016 Mustang stuff, from the fuel system, the electrical system, the cooling system, the engine management, all the line lock, launch control, every feature, the ABS. It's all this stuff is controlled electronically, and you need a resource like this. You can get through and really troubleshoot anything, and it saves time. And I think maybe I spent, I don't know, it's pretty cheap, 20 bucks for like a year subscription to whatever particular vehicle you're looking for. So quick little overview, Mitchell 1 DIY. Look that up, get your schematic you want, and you guys will be able to troubleshoot anything you're trying to do. So we are out in the garage from the laptop. We kind of got the principles on how to figure out wiring schematics. So here's going to be our headlight. Left a little plastic film on here, but we've got a halo, we've got high-low beam, and then we also have the halo is going to blink for our blinkers. So how do I run through the wiring on this? We got to pin this out and figure out exactly what all this does. We have our standard little connection here, which we can guess this is going to be a ground and a high beam, low beam, and then these two over here are probably halo. It's going to be the halo and then a blinker. So let's go through this. We'll write down what our headlight is doing, and then we're going to go through, bust out those wiring schematics we kind of talked about, and just start looking at the color of the wire. We'll turn the truck on and turn on the headlight and start pinning out the wires that look like they're identified to be the correct ones. Once we confirm that, we'll splice them together, make some connections where we can have functional headlights. So one tool I didn't really talk about is this power probe. So doing electrical stuff, it's really nice. I basically can hook it up to a 12-volt source, so your battery has little adapters for cigarette lighters and whatnot. But when I do that, I can basically hit this button, probe the metal, and I will connect it to a ground, and I can complete a circuit, meaning I can turn on devices. So that's what we're going to use to kind of pin this out. So I can supply 12 volts to it, and I also can supply a ground to it. So depending on what kind of circuit we're dealing with, you can provide power to stuff and troubleshoot shorts and grounds and whatnot. So it's a really handy device. I'm going to just plug this or power it in through my little jumper pack over here. And let's just kind of go through and I'll show you how we do that. Pardon the beeping, that thing's going to beep when it's in like start mode. So I'm going to grab my ground lead here and I'm going to attach it to the headlight. Where do I think it's going to be? Based off this little pigtail, black is generally ground. So looking at this plug, I'm thinking this prong on the left side is ground. And if you guys will put this up so we can see, I'll put that on ground. And I'm going to grab my Power Pro and probe the first prong, push the button, give it 12 volts. Okay, you got one there. Guessing that's low beam. Hit the other prong, high beam. Okay, so we got high, low beam. I'm gonna write down what color wires those are so we know. And then now I'm going over to the little pigtails. Let's pin this out and see. Okay, so the yellow is the blinker and the red is the halo. So pretty straightforward, guys. I'll write all that down on my sheet of paper. We know how the headlight functions, what wires do what. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing with the car. We're going to turn it on. It's a good chance or good opportunity, I should say, to turn it on, let the fluid circulate. I'll open the garage so I don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning, and we'll we'll pin it out based off those schematics and identify what wires do what, and we'll make it one functional unit. So I'll put you guys on time lapse. Let's get after it. All right, fellers, we have her wired up. Plenty of space, so let's give it a shot. We'll plug in our H4 connection here. Any excuse I have to start the old GT100, I'm gonna take it. Make sure it's in neutral. All right, blinker's on. Is my blinker on? It is. Halo. Blinker. Now let's turn on our headlights. Let me know what we got. Perfect. Okay. Now let's turn on our highs, or brights. All right, it worked. It's always a good feeling. Okay, turned her off. And everything turned off. Well, we made really good progress today, just chipping away on some of those little things, got the interior all prepped with the seats, the harnesses, some of the dash finalization stuff, so I'm really happy with it, looking good. We have the headlights all working, blinkers, hazards, turns, the halos, everything is integrated in the factory harness. Super excited about that. Next episode, we need to get to that bed, so we have got to build the bed. It's going to louver up so we have access to fuel pumps and electronics and things like that. We need to also finish some of the metal work back there. We're also going to redo the exhaust, probably wait for that until it gets back from interior shop, which interior shop should be calling us shortly. Get that out, we'll get it back, get the glass in, all the weather stripping, but really she is coming together, and I'm super excited. So as always, thanks for watching, God bless, and long live hot rodding.